I'm not a writer though. I'm a producer.
Doesn't have to be with lyrics, but just some theme music would be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I think we should take a vote of chat and see how many people think Dennis should write.
Again, I'm not a writer. I've never been a writer.
Oh, and I went sideways again. Good morning, everybody.
Hi, all.
Morning.
Morning.
Dennis has been regulated to the closet or wherever he's at because he locked himself out of his train room. We'll let him tell you that here later. But Dennis, can you see the screen well enough to do chat?
I probably can. Let me.
If not,
Let me scroll up here. We got Grandpa Rails, Gerald Stewart, Wigwags here, Rob T Man, John Dawson, Dave BNSF, DES Media Productions, John Tanzillo, Jack, DES Media Productions. I apologize if I miss anyone. I'm just scrolling down through here. Lynn McCurdy's here, of course. Randy Doman.
1973, Channel
1. Yeah. John Schuylkill Valley River Valley. Let's see. I'm about to the bottom. John Knopfel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And Almar. Caboose 1973. And of course, my wife, who's actually over in the family room right now. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Now, when I go back to the main screen, I can't see chat at all, so like I normally can, because I'm on my computer instead of my iPad.
Of course, I don't know what we're going to talk about right now, except you can tell everybody how you locked yourself out of the train room.
Well, I'll try and be brief. I'm old and I'm senile. I had 2 keys to the train room. The one key is my primary key. I would take out, unlock the door, leave it in the doorknob so I won't lose it, and then after I'm through at the end of the day, can lock the building back up and then put it on a bookshelf. At some point, I have no idea when, where, how, I carried that key around, put it in I don't know. I have no recollection. It disappeared. Period. It just flat out disappeared. Couldn't find it anywhere. My spare key was on my truck keys. I did some things in the yard last night after it kind of cooled down, moved some trees and some brush, and then went back into the train room. And instead of, I didn't have to unlock it because I had the train room completely open, the garage door, the side door, everything. I set my truck keys next to the door. And then when I shut everything up last night, I just pulled the door shut. It was still locked. So my truck keys with the key to the building on the inside, and then the only other key is in the ether somewhere, who knows where. So
okay, so we want to see a video of how you get back in.
It's doable, except for my tripod is inside
in the train room.
I'd have to have the wife stand there and watch me, and I'm sure it would be heavily edited for cursing.
Definitely not made for kids.
Probably not.
I think we've all been there too, or something very similar.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, we're getting a little reverb from Dennis's setup here. I'm thinking, Dennis, if I mute you, yeah, see that stops it if I mute his mic. So if you want to, Dennis, if you want to mute yourself until you're ready to say something, that'd probably do the same thing. Yeah, and that way we don't get it. But if you want to say something, just wave your hand and turn your mic on.
I can turn my mic off and on myself, so.
Yeah, that'd be best. Anyway, we've got Dave Todd here with us today, who's been here before. I think y'all know him. I invited Mark, but I didn't know Mark was out of town. Dave says he's probably out of town today, so Too
Yeah, I
bad.
think he's on his way to Mars or something. I don't know.
That's not someplace on a train line somewhere, is it?
No. Basin,
Casey, okay.
Right.
Casey.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
Gail says here, if we mute Dennis, everyone will have a chance to talk. I think she's really
oh
talking.
boy. Oh,
She's probably talking about me more than Dennis. And Steve would agree with that, I'm sure. Steve is at a craft show today, guys. He's gone soft on us. But no, he's up at a craft show selling trying to sell some of his signs he's been making. So hopefully he has a good day with that. Yeah. But anyway, so Dave, tell us what you've been doing lately.
not very much. Trying to get over all this coughing and flu stuff or whatever it is. And, making a few videos for YouTube on my layout, some op videos. But and playing some music. That's basically all I've been doing.
Oh, so you play music too?
Yeah.
Oh.
But no, I'm not gonna. I'm not a writer either. So.
Darn, I thought we had.
Well, if nothing else, maybe we could collaborate in some way.
Well, that's a possibility.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I have to confess, I haven't been over to your channel and seen anything from you here lately, but I've been kind of busy. I've been actually
Hey, no problem.
up on the layout.
Uh-huh.
But it's a couple hours working up there, and then I got to come sit down, and I don't usually come necessarily in here. Sometimes I will, but I don't always come in here and sit and watch videos.
Right.
But I try to catch a few here and there. I haven't been to Bill's channel either in a while.
I haven't either. I haven't been watching a whole lot of videos, but it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it is.
I get a lot of responses to some of my stuff, and so I try to answer those. But other than that, I haven't been watching a whole lot of videos.
Yeah, I don't put up any like every week or something like that. I don't do that because I just don't want to do the editing and take the time to do it and stuff. But I do try. I'm going to try and get one out at least once a month, just to keep everybody appraised. But I'm getting toward the end of my basic layout. Now I'm getting ready to scenic that last yard. That's the last scenery.
Right.
Then it's just going to be detail work after that. So
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that and then running trains. I'll finally get to where I'm going to run some trains and stuff, and that a little bit more. But I got so much crap laying on my layout right now because when you do scenery, I think that's the messiest part as far as having extra stuff on your layout because you don't have room in there to set anything.
Right.
Like you got 50 jugs of ground cover and bushes and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we lost Bill. Oh, there he went.
There he is.
But yeah, it's going to be fun to get all that put away and then getting out the little detail stuff and start doing that.
Lost Bill again. Huh. Yeah, I've got a lot of detail stuff to do, and I just haven't been in the mood lately to do much. I got to build some fences.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I think I need to get up there and work on it and do something. I'll walk in there and I go, I'll work for an hour and go,
yeah,
I just don't feel it today. And I learned when I was doing RC airplanes, don't work on them when you're not wanting to because you screw up. And I screwed up so many times doing that I finally got to where if I walked out there and I wasn't in the mood to do it, don't do anything. Just turn around and walk back out.
Right.
And of course, with those, they could be very dangerous because I was doing pretty good sized airplanes, and you don't want those to get away from you for any reason. So, that was really the deal. My train's not going to hurt anybody unless it falls on the toe, and then it's not hurt you either.
Yeah. Right.
But it just, I just don't do it. If I don't feel like doing it, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Dennis?
I try not to say anything. I turned on my echo cancellation. Did that help any at all?
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds good here.
yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. Sounds better now.
Mm-hmm.
Mike says he does the same thing with yard work.
Yeah. Same here. Same here.
I like that philosophy. There's Bill.
I don't think that's why he doesn't do it, though. It's not
Had a
because
work
he's
call.
afraid he'll
Sorry.
screw it up. Are you okay, Bill?
Oh yeah, I had a work call I had to answer.
Okay. Okay. Got to pay.
That's
Oh,
never good.
not that many more weeks, and no work is going to call me ever again.
Oh, I tell you what, you will enjoy it. Trust me.
Best
There'll
job I
be
ever
no
had.
stopping
Retirement.
Bill then.
Right.
There'll be layouts on top of layouts.
Yeah.
I am about, I haven't officially announced it at work yet to my boss, but early June, yeah, I'm done. I'm going the retirement route. Take 6 months off at least, do absolutely nothing, and then who knows what I'm going to do after that. But I'm ready. I'm ready to hang up my hat for a while.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you from experience, you'll do whatever the wife tells you to do.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Retired or not.
I've got a little sign in the kitchen where I eat breakfast. It says, "I'm retired. You can't ask me to do anything unless you're my wife." So that's about the truth.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just glad she's busier than I am with her pickleball and all the stuff that she gets. In fact, she's gone right now with her sister somewhere. So, yeah. She stays busier than I do. Most of my stuff is here at the house, whatever I'm doing. But anyway, so Bill, what are you doing? Are you doing anything besides finishing up that one layout?
So the Jerry's build last weekend, actually, we took his layout to his home. So I've got a video that's coming out, well, at the end of this show that shows the layout in his place and us fiddling around with it, fine tuning it. So for a while, I won't be doing anything more with his layout. He's putting his buildings and mock-ups and different things on the layout so that he can get a sense of it. And where he wants some scene dividers out of trees and, some very thin pieces of probably pink foam board that we can build up, make it look like rocks, just again, to kind of divide things out. But got the layout running really good. He's got mostly Atlas engines in N scale DC. So they run beautiful on the layout, just super slow, which is what he likes. He's got a couple others like Lifelike and a Bachmann that, run okay. But that's not the quality of the Atlas engines. So the Atlas can just purr and literally move that fast on his layout, smooth through the turnouts, through everything. So, I think that what I built for him is going to be good for a long time. And I'll do more videos later on once he gets to the point that he's wanting to do more of the scenery and, building his cities with his buildings, his roads, all that other good stuff. But what I've been doing this past week and will be doing for another week is building more trees. Woohoo! Not that any of them are going to see any time on my layouts, but the NMRA James River subdivision, we're having a meet May 11th here in the Richmond metro area, and I'm giving a clinic on building trees. So this week I've been starting to get some of the just how I do it and the different steps. And I'm going to have mostly finished trees at the clinic where the guys who are participating can finish them off and take them home. But I show the steps, so I can go from like right here, this is just a stick of that grapevine wire I get at Hobby Lobby. Next is the glue up where I've got 3 of them put together, just the finished product of this. Then the next is where you can barely see it, but I've got like 3 of the florist wires that I've glued to the armature. Next step shows those three twisted so that I've got a nice sort of transition to go up to the top of the tree. Then the next step, let me get over here where I can see it, shows the looped wire that I put on. And on this side, I've got like a strand of about 18 inches of where I do the looped wire. And it's kind of hard to see, but on this end, the loops are kind of up higher where I've got like the branch at the base. And then on this end, you know, those loops are tighter to the wire so that I can kind of get that transition going up the tree as I put the loops on. Next one, you can see where I've got the loops cut and then spread out a little bit. Here I painted the tree armature. I find that if I do paint the armature, and really it should be with a flat color, the Mod Podge for the next step sticks better. It doesn't run off that really glossy florist wire. Next one is just the tree after I've put Mod Podge on it and put Woodland Scenics ground cover to kind of build up the trunk. Next one's next step, put a little Mod Podge on the tips of the branches and sprinkled 6 millimeters static grass on it just to kind of build it up. Next one is a finished tree. I've put more Mod Podge on the tips of each of these little ones, and then a mix of 2 millimeter static grass and Woodland Scenics ground cover just to kind of flesh it out, give it bulk, and then I take it, flip it over, and from the underside, I'll give it a couple of squirts of brown spray paint just to kind of make some of the needles look darker on the bottom. And then this is another tree that I'm building. I'm going to build a whole bunch of these that are going to get to this stage so that at the clinic, if guys want to finish them and take them home, they can take them home. And then I'm also starting to build some of the bigger trees, which will be furnace filter trees. So I'll also demo how I do that. So I'm making a bunch of these trunks. I've made 10 of these here just in the half hour before the show. I'll show how I, glue these up, how I put the toothpicks on the end so that I get a nice point transition, and then glue them up, roll them in the Woodland Scenics ground cover, take furnace filter material, take it to the step that you've got a nice finished pine tree on that. So got a bunch of pre-work to do. After I get these done, then I'm going to turn to another project for a O-scale railroad club in Iowa that's in the basement of Caboose Stop Hobbies. They want me to build a nice O-scale tree similar to the one that I've got here on my O-scale. They've got a spot for it already picked out. So I'm going to build probably about a 12 to 14 inch massive oak tree that's going to go on their layout. And then after that, who knows what I'm going to do? We'll figure it out as we go.
Well, you're going to retire, right?
Yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff.
Path Valley had a little neat deal. He said when he was getting ready to retire from the U.S. Navy, my wife told me, "Don't retire. We might find out we really don't like each other." I'm glad that wasn't the case either. But yeah, I understand that too. The wives aren't used to the husbands being around. Of course, in my case, it was just the opposite. I was home more than she was because I was working for myself and she had an office job. So it was just the other way around. But yeah, you do have to kind of take stuff into consideration. Uh-oh, I lost you, Bill.
What?
Oh, there you are. Okay. Thought I lost your audio.
Oh.
Well, I did give you a little plug on the trees when I was showing mine in my last update. So if you want to see what I've been doing, guys, go to my channel and watch the last update. It's about 40 minutes long, but it's how I do the mountains, how I did the mountains on my layout. And then at the end, to show what I just finished in that corner on the transition on the backdrops. I found that the easiest way to do those backdrops instead of having one great big long backdrop is get the scenes that you wanted in a little shorter space and then put stuff up that divides those two backdrops. So then you've got a scene here, you've got a scene here, and you can kind of transition between them.
Yeah.
And so far it's worked pretty well. So But you can go to my channel and see that if you want to see it. And like I say, be ready. It's 40 minutes long or close to that.
I think I started to watch it, but run out of time. So
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, I did put in the title, make sure you get a cup of coffee first, because
yeah,
you got to stay awake. But
that's what I forgot to do was get a coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a how I do it, how I did it kind of thing. But
Mhm.
if you're interested in that, that's there. But and then we got Dennis sitting in the closet.
I do have actually a few projects in here in Otter Creek Studios. This is something that, I started working on a while ago, and then, just kind of decided that it's HO, it's standard gauge, and it had a lot of issues, and I think I've got it running fairly well now. I just need to adjust. I think I need to bring the motor up a little bit so it's not quite in a bind, which should be easy enough to do. But I've got no HO track anywhere to speak of at the moment, so I haven't really done much else with it. And then I've also, let's see if I can do this. I've got this.
Ooh, nice.
Which I would love, eventually someday put DCC and sound in it. That's why I want a little bit of HO on my railroad so I can, have something that is standard gauge.
What locomotive is that? Is that a Mikado?
It is, but it's a bigger one. It's
full size.
No,
full gauge.
Yeah, and it's a Denver and Rio Grande prototype, but I can't recall, what the actual. I don't know if their standard gauge used. I don't think they use the K series. I don't know what designation. Mike might be able to tell us what they used for that particular locomotive. I don't think I've. Well, maybe I do have the box. No.
Mitaco. Is that
the little one? That's a 583. But this big one, I don't know. Hakuna Makito.
Sounds like a wine.
Like Hakuma Matata. have no worries. Is that?
I've never heard of that before.
But that. So my music studio here kind of got turned into this is where I work on brass locomotives. But I don't come in here very often because I've been building model railroad.
Yeah.
Which the only thing what I got completed this last week, I've got that one. I don't know, it's probably a 4-foot single track staging. It's completed and ready to lay track on. I haven't laid track on it yet, but all the corks there. I will probably do that tomorrow if I can get in my building.
Well, don't take Steve's advice and take a shotgun to it, because you don't want to.
No, I don't want to have to replace the door as well as the doorknob that I'm going to have to drill through after I buy another drill. I think that's my only choice at this point. So, in my capacity of my career, I spent about 6 years in key and lock. So I have a decent understanding of how locks work. I have picked many locks in my day, and kind of know what I'm doing concerning all manner of different locks and stuff. I wouldn't consider myself a locksmith, but I'm probably as close as you can get without actually getting any kind of certification. If I had lock picks, professional lock picks, I'd already been in by now. But I'm trying to use a bobby pin, which I have to turn sideways, and it's digging into my fingers, and it's not really well designed to actually pick a lock. I'm going to try again after the show, but eventually I'm just going to have to drill through the core and probably rip everything out and replace the doorknob.
Well, I said use a locksmith, but I'll let you explain why you wouldn't do that. I
mean, again, I live in the middle of nowhere, so I figure the flat fee for a locksmith out here is probably somewhere between $100 and $150. He's going to have to drive at least 50 miles to get to me. You know, it's probably $1.25 a mile. And for the same amount of money, I could probably drive into town, buy me a new drill, buy me a drill bit, and then I've got a new asset that I can have, you know, maybe one size drill bit here and one size. There would be an advantage, an expensive advantage to having more assets to make use of in the future rather than paying a locksmith. And who knows if he could even come out here. It's a weekend. It might be another fee on top of that because it's off hours. I don't know.
I was going to say, when you're in there buying your drill and stuff, have another key made, but both your keys are in the train room.
I'm going to have to buy a whole new, I'll have to buy a whole new doorknob, and while I'm at them, I've got deadbolt as well. So I've got one key for both the doorknob and the deadbolt.
Yeah. And then have them make several extra keys and pack those puppies around the house.
Yeah.
Gail, if you're listening still, make sure he gets more keys.
She's going to have to drive me to town because I can't take my pickup. Keys are in the building.
Mike says use a sledgehammer. It's cheaper.
I don't want to damage. I mean, it's a metal building for one. I do have a sledgehammer. Guess where it's at? Inside the building.
For shed.
But I don't want to damage my door or the door frame.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either. Do the doorknob. The doorknob's expensive enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything I could use to get into the building is inside the building. Pretty much.
Steve's got an idea. Go keyless. Problem with that, Steve, is his mental condition's not good enough to remember the code to get into it.
That would be my problem.
Oh, I knew this was going to be fun when you told us about it this morning.
No, Hi's asking about a window. I intentionally put no windows in this building because, well, for one, I knew half of it was going to be train room. And so therefore I didn't want to have to contend with any openings anywhere in the building on that half. And then the other half, I was like, I wanted the wall space. And, you know, out here, wind blows 90 miles an hour. You get a lot of excess dust and dirt coming through windows. So I did not put any windows in.
Good call.
I wouldn't have either. Because don't you have an overhead door too, don't you? And
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's another funny thing about this. On a weekend, most of the time, because I'm in and out as much as I am, I don't lock the roll down. I locked it last night. It was like the last thing I did before I shut the door. If I hadn't locked the door,
I think that's just the problem. I see the problem over your right shoulder.
Yeah,
you got a black cat?
I don't know if you noticed, but right when we started, he opens doors. You cannot keep him out of any door in this house.
Get him to open the train room.
He's not good with the knobs. If it's the lever, it's over. He will go through and open to include right here to my right is where the brand spanking new heating and air conditioning system is. They just put in this last Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
It's got a door to it. He's going to open it. Every door in the house, you can close them no matter what. He cannot stand closed doors. But he can't open. He will try. He'll try to open the doorknob, but he can't get the doorknobs to turn for him.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, Steve says, what about skylights? No,
Skylights.
Again,
Again, that's just a good way to introduce dirt and dust into your
Yeah. Yeah. Because skylights, the bad thing about skylights is they will leak eventually.
Yeah.
And first hailstorm out here, and I probably wouldn't have a skylight anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because out there you guys get some pretty good size hail.
Well, there's not a vehicle that parks in my driveway that doesn't have hail dents in it.
Well, what's funny here is we get hail here, but it's usually, pea size. But coming back
Most of the time it is for us too, but I've got evidence to suggest we get larger than pea size as well.
Well, we got hit with larger than that. They were probably at least golf balls, not a little bit bigger. And a couple of them hit the windshield. I'm surprised it didn't break the windshield. We were on the highway, pulled over on the side of the highway, out in the middle of Oklahoma, and here comes a storm. And it was, I thought, at least pull over and stop so you don't run over somebody or run off the road. But yeah, it dinged the car several places. Scared my wife to death, but anyway.
Wow.
Oh, here you go. Mike says Hogan Zero method, tunnel underground.
I've got pretty good concrete as well.
Yeah, coming up to that concrete would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in the future you could do that. Have a tunnel access, and then you can have like underground railroad.
Yeah.
Well, could double tornado shelter too.
If I could have afforded it, I would have had an underground tornado shelter in conjunction with it, but it just wasn't. Didn't have the cash money to do that, so I didn't.
Well, let me give you a piece of advice. If you do put in a shelter, put it above ground on the concrete, and because the older you get, the easier it is to get in and out.
Yeah.
I opted not to do that when we built this house. Most of them were put in under the stairway, in a closet configuration. I thought she's going to have that thing stuffed full of stuff. So when the tornado comes, we're going to have to unload the closet to get in it. So I had them put in a underground in the garage, which is fine if it's got steps down to it, but ours has a ladder. And the older you get, the harder it is to get in there. And then, of course, the dogs don't want to go in there at all. So you got to fight them to get them in there. We've only been in it twice in 10 years. And now we just get on the news and go, well, where's that? If it's nowhere close, we don't bother.
That's what I've done my whole life.
Yeah. In Oklahoma, you got to know where the tornadoes are. And now they show them so well. You got a fighting chance to not have to.
Out here, I can see it coming for 3 days. So,
yeah.
All I got to do is make a decision which direction do I drive to avoid it. Now that doesn't work, after 9 o'clock at night, but they're a lot more rare after the sun goes down. And the last
that's true.
3 or 4 hours of the day is when you're kind of your most vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel sorry for the people east of us because that's usually they come in here about sunset and then they'll follow them. They'll keep following them on the radar and stuff and warning everybody out east of us because they're continuing on, but it's starting to get dark now. It makes it much tougher to physically see them. But yeah, the weather stations have them pretty good with the radar now, so which is a good thing. But they still tend to pop up in the moment's notice.
Yeah, like last night, the one of them, I think it was in Iowa. I was watching Ryan Hall, y'all. It's one of a weather spotter YouTube channel, really good. But showed a weather spotter chasing one, and he said it's like a little rope tornado. And then within 2 minutes, it was a half-mile wide tornado on the ground, and you could just watch it because they were videoing it. It was like, and just came down and just amazing. When it's on top of you, you don't have time. You just got to be safe.
Yeah. It's when they tell you the conditions are right, you definitely got to be mindful of where the storms are and where you're at and what you're going to do when they get there, because eventually there'll be one that comes over the top of you or close to you anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, get the one above ground. Get the underground one. I wish I had the above ground one now, but anyway, Grandpa Rail says he's 9 months into retirement. He loves it. I'm right there with you, John. somebody asked me the other day how I'm liking it, and I'm thinking, well, what is there not to like? I don't have to do anything, you know, except what the wife needs me to do, which is really not much. So we go to the grocery store together, and I put the trash out on the same day. So that's about the extent of what I got to do, because I have my grandson mow the yard anymore, so I don't even do that. I take care of the pool. I have to do all the pool chemicals, but that's not hard either. So I don't do much.
I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm going to stay busy because that's just my nature. I don't sit very long. I always have to do things, but to not have to have, you know, daily go in, you know, do reports and all of the stuff that goes along with work, you know, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if it'll drive me crazy after a while, but who knows?
Yeah, not having to be somewhere is nice.
The best job I've ever had.
Yeah. And what did Bernard say earlier? I saw him on the chat. He said something about retirement was having a new occupation every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
you get to do what you want for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still at least 10 years away, maybe 13 before I could.
That's a Gail doesn't
think about retiring.
That's a Gail doesn't do you in first.
Yeah.
I know for me, I'll stay busy. And will I eventually re-enter the workforce, you know, in some fashion? Probably. You know, maybe a part-time job, because I've often joked that when I retire, you know, I'm going to take it easy again for a while, but then maybe work part-time at like Lowe's or Home Depot. I would actually like that. But a part-time job, you know, go do a little work, earn a little money, still have more than enough time to play in what I like to do, or outside, or, you know, all kinds of different things. So, you know, I think for me anyway, and probably for a lot of guys and gals, you know, when you retire, if you have a plan to stay busy, it's going to keep you healthy. You know, I've seen people that have retired and have just sat, and they start to have health problems. They start to, you know, they pass early because they become inactive. You know, retirement is not about being inactive. It's about, like you guys have said, do what you want to do and do what you like to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I was still plumbing, I did jobs for some guys that were retired, but they were still working. They were, you know, much older than I am now. They were in their 70s. One guy was 80, and he was working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you working at McDonald's for?" He said, "No, for something to do." I said, "You don't have any hobbies?" He said, "No." He didn't fish. He didn't do any other, didn't play golf, didn't have any other kind of hobby stuff. And I'm thinking, man, go volunteer somewhere. Don't work at McDonald's. But he liked working at McDonald's. It's like there's a guy that works as a Walmart greeter where we go, and super nice guy. And I know that's what he's doing it for. He's probably not doing it for the money. He's doing it because he's outgoing. He likes to talk to people, and that's a good place to have that kind of job. But I like talking to people too. I mean, I'm outgoing in that way, but I don't want to go have to work somewhere to do that. You know, I'd rather just sneak up behind people at Walmart and start talking to them. But yeah, it's like I always tell people, I mean, get a hobby before you retire. So at least you've got that to do before. And if you're not going to have a hobby, there's lots of places to volunteer if you want to just work with people. Unless you need the money, then I can see going back to work, or not retiring at all. But anyway, kind of off the subject of what we're here for, but tornadoes and retirement.
Right. Yeah, I remember a lot of guys that retired off the railroad that had no hobbies or anything. They lasted about a year, passed on.
Yeah.
Nothing to do, and you know, they hated it. But
yeah, oh yeah, and I just shake my head when I hear that, because it's like, man, find something, you know.
Yeah, you have to have something that occupies your time and and occupies your mind too. You just can't veg out in front of a TV. You're not going to last.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and like I say, there's always something you can do. Do something in your neighborhood. Do something in your town somewhere. You'd be surprised at how many places would take a volunteer that doesn't normally have volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you know how to do something, say like, well, if you knew how to do something like modeling, I was going to say like modeling, but if you got modeling, then you've got a hobby.
Yeah, working at a museum, I think would be a cool thing to do.
Work at a museum. We used to do instructional things at the rec halls around town when I was flying airplanes. We'd go in and we'd show the kids how to get into the hobby and how to build stuff and how to do it. And we used to do that, and I used to love doing that, and that's all volunteer stuff. And half the time we'd call them up and ask them if we could come do that. They wouldn't ask us. Sometimes they would ask us, but others that didn't know about that didn't know that we would come do that. We'd go say, hey, would you like us to come in one Saturday or one day during the week whenever you're having the kids here and show them this kind of stuff? And you can do the same thing with trains.
Yeah.
Take modeling kits in or trains in or a small layout or something like that too, and do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm in 3 different bands, and we go to the nursing homes and play for those old folks. I missed something.
He says he does a lot of volunteer work with fitness models.
Boy, if we could all do that for the rest of our lives, it'd be wonderful.
Incentive to stay active, and buff, but.
Oh boy.
Anyway, Dave, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Not a problem. But yeah, we go play at the nursing homes, and those people just love it.
Yeah.
They're sitting around, nothing to do, and one of the bands that I'm in, I mean, it's not really a band per se. It's like a jam, but we go and play for an hour, and we do that twice a month here at the local retirement center. And when you coming back? When you coming back? And I'm in another band, the 3Ds. My wife's name is Doris, and Dan, and Dave, and we do the same thing. We go to the nursing homes in Worland and up here, and then I'm in Heaven Bound. And this year, if we ever do get started again, back in practice and whatnot, that's really all we want to do is go to the nursing homes and not do out of town stuff.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's a blast. Keeps me, into the music, and the folks love it.
Yeah. Well, and you notice too, the people that have a hobby are usually have more than one or have more than one thing they do.
Right.
To stay busy. So yeah, it's the people that don't have anything. They're the ones that sit and don't do anything.
Right.
For whatever reason, some of them it was because they worked all their life. They were gone 12 hours a day working,
right.
And that's all they knew, and they didn't have time for anything else, which is sad. But
yeah,
I still think if somebody really wanted to have a hobby of some sort, they would at least get partially into it. But everybody's different. So
I'd love to be in a band, but I don't know. I've probably tried in this area. I don't know. More times than I can count over the last 10 years or so. And it never seems to work out.
Yeah.
Because for various different reasons. And there's always a long drive associated with me. So that's why I tend to just do music in the closet.
You're never getting out of the closet now.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, being in a band is it can be stressful, not fighting and all that stuff, but it just it's I don't want it to be work, and a couple of the bands are work, or tend to be work, and I
Yeah,
don't want.
if everybody has the same shared vision of what it is and similar
Yeah.
tastes and
Right.
styles, it works out pretty good. But usually
Yeah.
there's at least one or two people that are like dissatisfied with some element, and
Right.
that was one of the nice things about being in the military band,
Mhm.
was that you had a common goal that forced you to do certain things a certain way,
Right.
and it didn't matter what your opinion was, so to speak.
Right.
To a degree, this is
Mhm.
what we're going to do because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And it was also very rewarding. You know, I played bass
Yeah.
for not probably 2/3 of my military career. That's what I did, was play bass guitar in
Oh,
pop
cool.
rock groups.
All right.
We need to get you to play that plastic trombone you got.
It's locked up in the train room.
How convenient, huh?
Yeah.
McCardle said your wife's locked up in the train room and enjoying the privacy. A couple more hours, she'll unlock the door. I already
If only that were true. If only that were true. That I would look forward to the rest of my day eventually. But
yeah, I already accused her of locking it just to keep him out of there. But I'm not sure why she'd want to see more of him.
I don't know.
Anyway, well, we got about 15 minutes left. I don't know what we're going to talk about now. Other than tornadoes and locking Dennis out of the train room. I think Jerry went to the train show in Baltimore. I don't know if some of the guys in the chat were going to be there today. Hopefully he took some video that he can share with us when he comes back. But anyway, yeah. I was going to show the video that Steve had, and I'm not even sure what it is. He sent it to me, but I haven't watched it because I wanted to watch it on the show.
Dave, have you got any projects you've been doing on your layout recently? Or are you
Dave,
pretty much completed with everything?
who are you talking to?
Dave?
Okay.
Oh, I've still got some fence work to do, building some chain link fence, and I want to build some more trees to replace the store-bought trees in places. Of course, out here in Wyoming, I get all the sagebrush that I want for that, but and then a lot of little detail stuff. But I'm basically to the point where most of my scenery work is all done. It's just from now on is adding detail, adding some fences and that type of thing, and running. But that's pretty much it for me. I worked. I guess it's been about 7 years since I started building it. And the first year, my brother was living out here, and all we did was, once I got the railroad up and running, that's all we did was run. And I didn't do any scenery work for that about the first year. And but I worked on this layout. I was retired, and I worked on this layout every single day, for 5 years at least. And
Nice.
yeah, I think right now I'm almost to a burnout stage. Not burnout, but it's down to where there's hardly anything left to do. And I don't know. I enjoy playing the music, but on the same hand, the music takes me away from in here. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of a back and forth. But yeah, I need to get my Heine in gear and build some more fence and get that done.
Does doing the music, does that kind of help revigorate your enthusiasm with the railroad? Or
Not really.
Really?
No, not. You know, when I get done playing, I come back and I come in the train room here, and a lot of times, you know, I'll sit and answer some emails and think of what am I going to do next for a video. You know, Mark is always on my case. When's the next video coming out? When's the next video coming out? And so, you know, it's a never-ending battle with him.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You still got a lot to go down there and tell him how to do stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's going to need a
doing
lot of
it all wrong, you know. But he doesn't think so, and really he's doing a nice job. But he's really been working real hard on building his staging yard, and I've got to go down Tuesday to his place, and help him, I guess, get the benches underneath the top of the layout there. But he's been really working hard, build all the switches and got everything all set up, ready to go for his staging yard. And that's really going to help once he gets that done.
I'm always amazed when he does an update how much he's gotten done in the month.
Yeah, yeah.
And I look at mine now. Now, I used to be that way too, get a whole bunch of stuff down, but I don't do that now.
Right.
And I think, man, I'm not doing anything on mine compared to what I'm doing or some of the other guys are doing, or even Dennis. Dennis does a lot more than I do.
Dennis is always working, I think.
Yeah, and Bill's always building new ones. So you know.
Yeah.
So, and I keep thinking too, what's going to happen to this when I can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah. My son's not interested at all. So.
Yeah, my son won't be either, but
I
told him he's the one who's got to take it apart. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I got a buddy over in Grable that's his wife is our bass player in Heaven Bound Band, and he is so busy that he doesn't have time to come over. But he just, you know, he picked up on running the railroad so quickly, and he just loves it. But he just doesn't have the time to come over and run trains anymore. Driving school bus, and he's a janitor at the school, and he's a coach and all kinds of stuff, and just too busy. But he just loves it. And so he's probably about the only one that would be interested in any of my railroad stuff. Well,
I've already told Dennis he can have anything I've got over here when I'm gone, because the wife will be grateful somebody took it all.
Yeah.
Plus, I told him if he does come and take it, he's got to tear it all out of the room too. So.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what's Mike saying now? Between going to bed early and getting up late, I don't have much time to work on model trains.
I do have days like that.
Yeah, I don't believe him. I don't believe him for a second. Because that's all he's doing anymore is working on model trains. Maybe not on the trains themselves, but he's working on getting the models out.
Yeah, which I'm still waiting for that bulk oil distributor. He's made some promises.
Yeah. Randy Doman wants to know, any of us have operation sessions?
Yeah.
Not yet, but here is, I've got a personal goal for this June. So my daughter, who lives in, what's the name of that town? She's up in Montana. My youngest daughter, she's got a fiance that I have not met. I don't even know what he looks like. I think his name is Dallas Galveston. It's one of those towns in Texas. I don't know who he is, but I'm going, if I've got all of Maroon Creek in place, track ready to go, I'm going to force them to do a beta test of an operating session, whether they want to or not, because I have not met this young man, and he's going to figure out what it's like being in the Carell family.
It's the
And
test.
so that's my goal for an operating session, is I'd like to see how it works with 2 or 3 people in the room, because I don't have really any way of doing that unless I force Claude out here 4 hours for a couple 4 hours. They're going to be here for 2 weeks, so
You don't got to put a gun to my head.
well, I mean, again, maybe after June, where I've got more than one location to work.
And like I say, when you get a little further along, I think we need to get Dave Vollmer and Mike.
Well, we're talking 8
Make
hours.
them come down. Now we forced them to come down there.
You know, it's one thing for you to come 4 hours for, you know, a couple 3 hours of an afternoon or something like that, but 8 hours is way too much to expect anyone to have any interest in, especially if there's no scenery, there's no guarantee that it would even be enjoyable, right? It could actually be a disaster, and if I thought it was worthwhile, I might feel a little differently about it, but
Mike says he's
no,
already.
you're not. I know you're not.
Mark,
I just think
an op session the 25th of June, and then there's well, I think Mark's coming up, and then there's Kevin and Dennis or Steve that are coming up on the 26th to operate. And you know, I built this layout originally just with me in mind, and over time, I've thought, you know, I'd like to have operating sessions, and with 2 people, you know, it works out great. With 4 people, it's going to be interesting to really see how things work, and I'm hoping they'll work out. What I think I'm going to have to do is probably do 2-man crews. The way my railroad operates is, you know, there's 2 morning jobs, the morning yard and a local, and then the afternoon job, the afternoon yard, and then the extra job that goes downtown and switches Firestone also. And then there's a night switch engine, but it's not something, you know, that is going to keep everybody busy. I do have an option to put a switch job, a yard job at Firestone. But, you know, and if I had to, if there was enough people that would come up, I could do that, and that would be an extra job for somebody. But yeah, the way my railroad operates, my schedules and all that stuff, I don't run on schedule, but the way it runs is 2-man crews would be nice, because it's just not that busy of a little railroad. It's a lot of busy switching, but not a lot of running trains per se. So, but I'm looking forward to it, to see how things will actually work out. So, and I've always got to keep an eye on Mark. He's always, you know, trying to do something crazy, speed, you know, making crazy switch moves. You got to keep your eye on him. But
yeah, and
it'll be fun, I'm sure.
I didn't build it, even start it with an idea of having people over to help operate.
Same here.
For operations for me, which is going to be, you know, 1 engine or group of engines, because I'll probably do a lot of double heading and triple heading going up the mountain, that sort of thing. And then switching out the mines and then going to the other town, because it's a point to point. Actually,
Right.
it's a point to point. It's you know, there's 3 points on it, but on the narrow gauge. And I can turn the standard gauge on and just let it run the loop to loop. And I've got automatic switches on there, and so they can just go, and then I can run the narrow gauge, come across the standard gauge tracks and up the mountain. So
Right.
it could be done with 2 or 3 people. but I never did build mine for that. So,
Yeah. And mine is just one man operation. You could probably have, like on my HO scale, a couple of guys running it. And if anybody wanted to come over and operate, I would certainly let them. But like you were talking, Dave, on my HO scale in particular, complicated track work, lots of switching opportunities. So it'd be fun, come in, hey, this box car here has to go over there, figure out how to do it and move everything else that's in the way and, get it. Some good operation possibilities, but nothing planned out.
Right.
Steve said he thinks if I had a spare set of keys, it would be easy for Dennis to get into the train room.
I just have to wait for 4 hours for him to get here.
Yeah. And Gail would have to cook something to eat.
She'll probably do that anyway.
Yeah, she's a good cook. Well, that's our time, guys. And I'm sorry.
Thanks for having me on, and good to see everybody.
I don't know how to sit, so be upright like this, I guess. Anyway, Dave, thanks for coming on. And
You bet.
We'll get you back on when I get Mark on here, and definitely when Steve's back, so we can watch the video. Yeah, a little technology. But Dennis, go get into your train room, dude.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, have fun with that.
An expensive mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah, it happens.
And you know what'll happen is you're going to find that key that's lost probably in the most obvious place.
I've looked for that key for months and still haven't found it. So,
ask your cat.
Yeah.
And it will do me no good once I find it. So it is what it is.
Is that it?
That's when you'll find it. It's when they won't open the door anymore.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you for being here too. And everybody in the chat, have a good rest of your weekend and a good week. And we'll be back next week. See you later.
Take care, all.
Have a good day.